In the last session, we have seen how to create the user. I guess we created a user called as Zoom, right? The payment service provider, Zoom. We created a user called as Zoom, and we assigned application implementation consultant role and IT security manager role. What we discussed, if you assign application implementation consultant role, this user can do the setups. This user can do the setups. When we assign application implementation consultant role to this user can do the setups with the help of FSM. That means the user will get access to FSM. Okay, FSM. With the help of FSM only, user can do the setups. What does it mean by FSM? FSM stands for Functional Setup Manager. Okay. FSM stands for Functional Setup Manager. When we assign application implementation consultant to any role, that user can perform the setups with the help of FSM. That means the user will get access to FSM, Functional Setup Manager. With the help of this FSM, the user will be able to perform any application related setups, or you can call as a configuration. When we assign IT security manager role to user, that user will get access to security console. Okay, the user will get access to security console. From security console itself, that user will be able to create the new users. Already we have seen how to create the users from another user by using the security console and the roles assignment. There are many other activities, and in the last session already we have seen from security console only we created categories, okay, user categories to set the password policy and other information, right? So this is the purpose of roles. Okay, so application implementation consultant role will allow the users to have access to FSM so that they can perform the setups. With the help of IT security manager role, the user can get access to security console so that the user can perform new users creation and roles assignments to other users or same user. This is what we discussed in the last session. Any questions on this, please? No questions. Let's focus on FSM. We discussed FSM stands for Functional Setup Manager. Okay, any application you want to implement, we can use the FSM, Functional Setup Manager. So when we are going to use the FSM, Functional Setup Manager, we have to understand certain terminology. Say for example, here we discussed a few product families, right? These we are calling as a product families. So these product families, okay, what I will discuss, these product families, as per FSM, we call as offerings. SCM we call as one offering. Financials we call as one offering. Okay. HCM we call as offering. And procurement we call as one offering. PPM, CRM, take any other product families what we discussed earlier. This all we call as offering as per FSM. Within the FSM, this all we call as different offerings. That means Oracle is offering the solution for your supply chain management process. Oracle is offering the solution for your financials management and HCM, human capital management, procurement management, and project portfolio management. So these are the offerings. Now, if you pick the SCM, the SCM we discussed, we have a different applications. Okay, as a part of SCM, we have a different application. Say Oracle Fusion inventory application we have. Oracle Fusion order management application we have. Oracle say Fusion purchasing also we are going to include as a part of our SCM. Okay, primarily these applications, and you can include the SCM to support the demand. Okay, you can procure, you can purchase, and you can support the supply chain process. So these are the primary applications. Okay, so these are the primary applications. So to support these applications, we will use few other applications also. Primarily, we'll work on these applications to execute the business process, but in the system environment, to support these applications, we are going to use different applications. Okay, we are going to use different applications like, so we have application called as Oracle Product Management. Okay, so Oracle Product Management. So if you are going to work on Oracle Fusion Inventory application, with the help of Oracle Product Management application, you can do the certain configurations. Okay, certain configurations like item creation and all. We'll discuss about the business process maybe in the next or maybe after 1 or 2 sessions. There you can understand the detailed business process so that you can understand each and every point. For now, just take the names and try to remember. That's all. Okay. When you talk about the detailed business process, how the complete procurement process works, how the sales process works, there you can understand the detailed information. But now just take the names and you can remember. That's all. Fine. So to support Oracle Fusion Inventory application, we will use an application called as Oracle Product Management. The simple point is here we can create the items. And to support your Fusion order management application, okay, we use different applications. Okay, we use different application like we call as Oracle Fusion Global Order. Okay, promising. Okay, so this you can call as GOT. And this you can call as Oracle Fusion Product Management. Okay. And Oracle Fusion Global Order Promising, and we will use Oracle Distributor Order Orchestration also. Oracle Fusion Distributed Order Orchestration. We call it as DOO. Okay, we call it as DOO. To support this Oracle Fusion Order Management, okay, we'll use these 2 applications. Okay, along with these 2 applications, we'll use pricing application also. Fusion pricing application. Okay, and when we are going to work on Oracle Fusion Inventory, yes, this application is required to support it. Along with that, we have to work on Oracle Fusion Cost Management. Cost Management. So this is a very independent application. So this is basically the Fusion purchasing is not part of SCM. This is a part of procurement. Okay, within the procurement offering, you can have one of the application. So this is there are some other miscellaneous applications also which we will use. Okay, that as a part of our classes we can say. Okay, so you can remember these applications. Our primary focus would be on these 3 applications. Okay, how to purchase, how to supply, how to maintain the stock. That's what we are going to understand throughout the course. That is a core business process. There is some demand from the customer. We have to supply. If stock is available, we supply. If stock is not available, we purchase. Why we are going to use Oracle Fusion Cost Management? So inventory related various transactions we record. So for that, the stock what we are going to maintain, for that, what is the cost? Okay, what is the cost? The item related cost and all we manage with the Fusion cost management. When you talk about Oracle Fusion product management, so if you want to use Oracle Fusion Inventory standalone, you cannot use. By using the Fusion Inventory, you can do few setups, or you can say like you can perform the transactions by using the Fusion Inventory. The most of the configuration you have to complete from Oracle Fusion product management, primarily to manage your stock items, goods, whatever you call. A simple term you can take items. For item creation and management, we can use the product. Product means here you can take as items within the warehouse. What are the items we are going to manage, that you can create by using this, and by using the same you can maintain the warehouses and all. That we'll see very detailed once we get into that. Just I want to introduce the different applications and purpose. So when you are going to work on the Oracle Fusion order management, so say there is a demand from the customer, you have to buy so and so items. If the stock is available, okay. If stock is not available, from where you are going to buy? Okay, to support that demand and supply. Okay, how you are going to get that items into the organization based on the customer demand. That means, are you going to supply to the customer the items which are available in your warehouse? Are you going to purchase? Are you going to purchase these items from your suppliers? Okay, are you going to buy from your customers? Are you going to buy from your suppliers? Are you going to supply based on your warehouse where the stock is available? The sources we have to find out. Here you can set the sources from where you are going to get. Okay, so this is how like you have to do the required configuration to support the demand by using Oracle Fusion Global Order Promising. And when we are working on Oracle Fusion order management application, what process you are following? Say customer placed order. When you get the order from the customer, what is the first step? What is the second step? What is the third step? What is the fourth step? In how many steps you are going to complete the execution of that supply to the customer? Say customer placed order, we take in the order. The second step, what we are going to do? Are you going to confirm the order? Yes, that is the second step. First step is receiving order. Second step is giving the confirmation. Fourth step, you are going to move the material from your warehouse to so and so location. That is the third step. The fourth step, maybe you may do some inspection. And fifth step should be like supplying to the customer. How many steps? What are the stages or steps you are following to supply the material to customers? That you can define by using the Oracle Fusion distributed order orchestration. The pricing. So you have items within the Oracle Fusion inventory. Okay, that item cost and all everything you can manage with this. Say you have one item called as laptop. So laptop cost is specified as a 25,000 rupees. Now when you are going to sell to your customers, this is a cost as per your inventory. Okay, as per inventory, you purchase a laptop at 25,000. When you are selling to the customer, okay, so what is your price? That you can set here. For the same laptop, the price is going to be say 35,000 rupees. By using Oracle Fusion pricing, you can set the price. There we have a different option. So you can set price for specific customer, so and so customer, this is the price, or else for all the customers, this is the price. Based on the scenarios requirement, you can set the price. For that, you can use the Oracle Fusion pricing application. So to support all these, in between, we have a small other applications also. Those will come across when we are working on the application. Okay, just remember here. So when you talk about SCM, SCM is one of the offering. Within the SCM, these are the applications. These we call as applications, or we call as modules. Okay, applications you can call, or application single module. Both are same. Application, generally we use the term as a functional term. This is a technical term. When you say module, that's a technical term. You can call these with any name. These you can call as Oracle Fusion Inventory application or Oracle Fusion Inventory module. Oracle Fusion order management application or module. Fusion purchasing application or module. You can call with any name, all are same. Okay. Hope this is clear to everyone. These are, when you talk about supply chain, primarily these are the two applications. But reality, SCM defines the inventory and do supply chain process. Like supply chain management means your inventory management to supply to the customers. But if you learn SCM without purchasing, that is not a complete learning. Even when you are applying for jobs also, everybody will check, are you okay with purchasing also along with these two applications? Definitely they'll check. That is the reason we should aware of this. When we are going to work on these applications, definitely we should touch these applications. Without these applications, we cannot use. This doesn't comes under business process. This all comes under to support these applications business process. To support this application business process, we use all these applications for setup purpose, configuration purpose. We use these applications to support these three applications business process. So this is what we have to understand. Any questions here, please?
But sir, one thing
One second. Here we discussed about Oracle Fusion purchasing. Oracle Fusion purchasing is part of procurement. Okay. Still we are picking it. So if you want to understand few other applications also which are part of procurement, yes, I'll cover. Along with this Fusion purchasing, there are few applications: self-service procurement, supplier portal, okay, and sourcing. There are few simple applications I'll cover if you want to understand those applications also along with SCM. Along with SCM, if you want to understand, if you want to learn procurement also, we'll cover, because within the procurement, the very primary application is purchasing. Yes, we are going to learn the purchasing application. So along with that, learning the other applications is a simple task. So we'll focus on those applications also if you are interested. Yeah. Any questions here, please?
Sir, the one thing, actually, I'm a global purchasing guy. Okay, just I'm working in functional of
no, direct question, please. Don't mind. Direct question.
No, you will cover completely for procurement here, or only touch all modules in the procurement?
Yeah, it is not part of SCM. It is not part of SCM. I'll cover the applications what we have in the procurement.
Okay, it's a completely will cover. Just
yeah, max I'll cover, because that is not our area first of all. But in the initial previous classes also, there were a few guys who are talking about they want to understand. I said like, yes, okay, we'll cover that. The max will cover what we have with that.
Okay.
But our course is SCM. Along with that, first we'll focus on this SCM, supply chain management. Once we're done with that, I'll just take you through the different applications what we have in the procurement, because those are very small pieces. It's not a big applications, very simple applications what we have. The primary one is purchasing only, that anyway we are covering. Along with that, I'll take you through sourcing, supplier portal, which is iPortal, iSupplier. Okay, in EBS we call with a different name. Here we call other names. Yeah. I'll touch base on those applications also.
Okay, Lakshman, so Oracle Fusion purchasing is a part of SCM only, right?
No, it's not by default SCM, it is part of procurement. Okay, but without using the purchasing application, this you cannot define the complete process. See, if you have a stock, you can supply. Otherwise, you have to purchase. The purchasing function should support your stock maintenance. Then only you can supply to the customer. That is the reason you can include. So as a part of SCM, procurement purchasing application is everywhere. You can see with the SCM role they expect, even it is not part of it. By default, it is not part of SCM. It is part of procurement.
Okay, so anyway, you are going to.
I'm going to cover. Yes, we are going to learn that.
Purchasing as well as procurement.
Yeah, you just count as these are the three primary applications we are going to focus. Okay, as a part of SCM, these are the three primary applications we are going to focus. So apart from that, from procurement, PRC means procurement, other applications also I'll cover. Any questions, please?
Okay, and Lakshman, coming to Oracle Fusion cost management and Fusion product management. So is this terms which we are going to refer in Fusion for inventory?
Not for inventory. See, cost management to set the costing. Okay, when we are performing the inventory transaction, we have to calculate the cost, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
For that, you can do the setups with this. So when we are going to create the inventory related transaction, warehouse transaction, in warehouse, what we maintain? Stock.
Stock, yeah.
Right? Items. Items you cannot create by using Oracle Fusion Inventory. For that, they're given separate application for item management. The items and all you can create by using the product management only. In Fusion, inventory they given to perform the transactions. This they given to manage your items.
Okay, okay.
When we are going to work on Fusion order management application, okay, so from where you are going to procure, from where you are going to get, are you going to get the material from your production? If you have a manufacturing unit, are you going to get the production material from your production and you are going to supply to customers? Are you going to get the material from your inventory to supply to the customer? Are you going to purchase from your supplier to supply to your customers? These all just configuration you have to do by using the global order promising. Not only for that, by using this, you can map the data from Oracle Fusion Inventory to order management. Well, within the Oracle Fusion Inventory, what are the data you have that you can bring into this environment to support order management process? Okay, there again, planning also will come into the picture. Those all will discuss. Planning center and all.
Yeah, but generally we call it as Fusion Inventory, Fusion Order Management, Fusion.
That's all. That's all. You just call these only. Just these call this to support these. What are the sub applications we are going to use? Those are this.
Those are setups.
Yeah. No, not setup. These are the applications only. These are the applications which will support these applications business process.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are very small size applications. Okay. Small size, but without these are nothing.
Okay.
Any questions, please? No questions. Fine. Now, so these product families, okay, these product families we are calling as offering as per FSM. As per FSM only, we are calling as offerings. And if you take example, SCM is one of the offering. Within these offerings, what are the applications we have? Those ideally we call as options. Options. Okay. So SCM is one of the offering. Okay. Within the offering, what are the different applications we have? Those we call as options. The same way, if you take example, financials is one of the offering. Within the financials, what are the applications we have? Those we call as options. Each application we call as option. So this terminology we use as a part of FSM. Okay, as per FSM, these are the terminology we have to remember when we're dealing with FSM. So you should aware what is the meaning of offering and option. Okay, what is the meaning of offering and option? Sometimes what Oracle is doing is the option itself they are providing as a offering. In which scenarios? Say for example, when they released the Fusion application, you take example of financials. When Oracle released financials, they released applications like Oracle Fusion Accounts Table, AP, Oracle Fusion Accounts Receivable, AR, Oracle Fusion Fixed Assets, FA. And there are a few other applications also like cash management, general ledger. Those all are not required for us. So financials, what we call as offering. These we call as options. Yes, that is true. Within the financials offering, we have these different applications. When Oracle released, they grouped all these applications as a financials offering. They given these all we are calling as options. But when you talk about SCM, Oracle not introduced complete SCM solution in one go. Okay, they released one by one, phase by phase. First, they released procurement. Okay, procurement. After that, they released inventory and product management. After that, they released order management application. So if they release all in one go at a time, so SCM we call as offering, and these applications we call as a different options. Since they released separately as individual applications, these names itself you see as a offerings in the application. Okay, but actual meaning of offering and option means offering is nothing but specific product family. Option means specific applications. Specific application only they released as a separate offerings. Oracle just offered like that. We are offering procurement solution. We are offering inventory solution or product management solution. We are offering order management solution. That's how they introduced. These are separate offerings, even those are the applications. Okay, if they are introducing everything in one go, they can say SCM offering. They didn't introduce SCM complete solution at a time. They introduced one by one applications. That is the reason application itself they introduced as a separate offering. Try to understand this point. Okay, offering means product family, option means specific application, but Oracle introduced these applications itself as offerings when it comes to SCM. For other product families, they're given as a separate. If you go to procurement, within the procurement, different applications we call as options. If you go to PPM, within the PPM, different applications we call as options. If you go to HCM, within the HCM offering, different applications we call as option. If you go to SCM, everything we call as offering only. First of all, HCM offering name they didn't provide. So as a part of HCM solution, each and every application they introduced as a offerings. So this you see Oracle product management as a one offering, Oracle procurement as a one offering. Within that you can find this. This you can find as an option only, and this you see as a separate offering. Okay, so that is the meaning of it. Offering means product family, option means specific application. Sometimes the specific application also you may see as a offering. The reason they introduce that as a separate, so separate offering only. Even as an option, they introduce it as a separate solution. That is the reason you may find the name as a offering. So this is what we have to understand. Any questions on this point, please? Yes, Oracle Fusion Order Management is option, but you see in the application as offering. Now, so when we get access to instance as a SCM consultant, the very first step is you can create your own user. After that, what we have to do is we have to enable the offerings and options. Whatever the applications we are going to implement for our client, those offerings and options we have to enable in the instance. Say, enable offerings and options. This is the very first step after creating your own user. After enabling offerings and options, you can create implementation project. Create implementation project. If you know the meaning of implementation project already, if you know the meaning, don't apply that meaning to this implementation project. Here, implementation project purpose is just to perform the setups. So configuration. Okay. So don't apply really actual implementation project definition to this implementation project what we are discussing. Here, create implementation project means we create implementation project to do the setups only, not to do the entire implementation. Implementation process is different from setups. Within the implementation, setup is one of the activity. Okay. So here, whatever the implementation project we are discussing, this is only for the purpose of to perform the setups, or you can call as configuration. Okay. Create implementation project to perform the setups or to perform the configuration. This is what we have to understand. By creating implementation project, what we can do is into this implementation project, whatever the offerings and options we are going to implement, those we have to select. We have to select offerings and options into implementation project. Okay. So we create implementation project. So which applications we are going to implement, those we have to select into this project. So you are going to implement financials, select financials. You are going to implement SCM, select SCM. So you are going to implement SCM, but you are going to implement only inventory and order management. Yes, select you select SCM offering, and within the SCM offering, you can select the options like Oracle Fusion Inventory and Oracle Fusion Order Management. If you are not going to implement purchasing business process for your company, you can ignore it. The same way you are going to implement financials. You include financials into your project. You have to include into your implementation project. Say, and you are going to implement only these two applications. So include these two options only. So when you create implementation project, you can select, or you can say you can include. You can select or you can include offerings and options into your implementation project. Which offerings and options are enabled? Say, SCM is enabled. Yes. Finance is enabled. Yes. HCM is enabled. Say we enabled offerings and options. Okay. SCM, finance, HCM, these three we enabled. Now I am creating implementation project. I can select only these three. These three I can select. Inside what I have, those also I can select if I enable. If I want to select procurement into my implementation project, I cannot select because that is not enabled. I cannot select PPM into my implementation project to implement PPM. If you want to implement any applications, you have to select those into your implementation project. So whatever the offerings and options already you enabled, those only you can select into your implementation project. By default, you cannot select anything. First, whatever the applications you are going to implement for your client, that means scope of the implementation. What are the applications you are going to implement for your client? So based on the scope only, you can do the selection into project. Once you select offerings and options into implementation project, system will create the task list. Okay, system creates, we'll see all these, just we are discussing. System creates task list. Task list means it's very simple. Say you selected offering called as a financial SCM, and you selected this inventory or order management or purchasing, or else I'll say I selected order management. When you select order management into your implementation project, to implement order management application, what are the setups you have to do, system will list out. Okay, the checklist. It will list out the setups, which is setups you have to complete to implement order management. If you select Oracle Fusion Purchasing into your implementation project, it will generate the task list for your purchasing application. What setups you have to complete to implement and to use this purchasing application, it will create the task list. Task list is nothing but list of the setups what you have to perform. The same way you select any option. You may select Oracle Fusion Product Management. It will generate the task list. Okay. To complete the setups belongs to this application, it will create the task list. And again, if you select anything, just pricing or anything, and you select product cost management, it will generate the task list. Okay. So this is how system creates the task list based on the options and offerings what you are selecting into your implementation project. Okay, so this is what we have to understand. First, we have to enable offerings and options, then create implementation project. The purpose of implementation project is not to execute the entire implementation activity. It is just for the purpose of doing the setups. You can do the setups and you can manage the setups and you can update the status. Yes, I completed order management setups, or else I can set the status I'm working on order management setups. I can set the status purchasing setups are completed, or I can set the status purchasing setups are not started or purchasing setups are in progress. And again, we can set which resource are working for inventory application, which resource are working for order management, who are working for purchasing application. These are all assignments, the resource assignments and the setup related progress, okay, status, everything you can set. For that purpose, we use project, implementation project. There are some other benefits also. Going forward, we'll understand all those. So as a process, this is what we have to understand. Enable, create, select, then system will create the task list. Then you can start setting the status and you can assign the resource at any level. Offering level, you can assign the resource, or else option level you can assign, or else say within the Fusion purchasing, to implement purchasing, say you have to complete 10 setups, for example. You have to perform the 10 setups. Out of 10, 5 setups you can assign to one team member, remaining 5 you can assign to another team member, or else only one setup you want to assign to one team member. Yes, you can do that. Okay, system creates the task list. You can assign resource or team members. Okay, you can assign resource to offering level or option level, or you can group multiple tasks. That also you can call as a task list. Task list means list of setups. For specific tasks also you can assign the resource, or else for single task also you can assign. You can assign the resource to entire offering level, or within that offering to specific option you can assign, or you can assign within the option for selected tasks, that is nothing but task list, or else you can assign the resource for specific task also. For single task also you can assign. That means that person is going to work on that offering, that option or task list or task. And once you start doing the setups, you can start updating the status. Say you started working on SCM. You can set the status purchasing application setups are in progress. After some time, once you complete purchasing setups, you can update the status as a completed. So that if anybody look at that project, easily they can understand. Okay, easily they can understand, yes, purchasing setups are in progress or completed and not yet started. That means we can update the status. Okay, we can update the status of our setups. Okay, we can update the status of setups or say configuration. So when you assign the resource, even you can set the timelines also. You can assign purchasing application to one resource, one team member or SCM consultant, and you can set purchasing setup should be completed by so and so date. Okay, by 20th, purchasing setups need to be completed. You can set the time. So the project level, everything system will calculate by which date, which setups need to be completed, whether those are completed or not, how many are past due, all this we can track, and which resource are working for which area, and what is the status of each and every application, whether those are completed or not completed, or what is the status, everything you can track. That we call as, we track the progress of the project. Track the progress of the project. Here project means always remember setups. Instead of giving setups, they are given as a implementation project. If they give the name like implementation setups, that's a very suitable name, but they're given as implementation project. Since as a part of project we are doing these setups, they're given the name as implementation project. Okay, implementation related setups, reality. So this is what we have to understand. Okay, any questions here, please? Once you see in the system, you will get very detailed information. But anyway, before we get into the application, if you have any questions to understand these points, please.
Yes, Lakshman. I have a couple of questions. So first thing is like when as a functional consultant, do we see like everyone see all these offerings, or is it by license?
Everyone. So if you assign application implementation consultant role to any user, that user can see all the offerings and options which are available in instance. we already discussed. For consultants only, we assign these roles primarily. That means they get
So no, my question is like
access.
so my question is like so we have like the offerings like SCM, financials, HCM.
Correct.
So does every customer or client have all the offerings enabled, or they have to have some kind of
By
license?
default, say for example, you are working for your client is going to use SCM and financials only.
Okay.
When you get access to that instance, you will see all other offerings also.
Okay.
You are not supposed to use them.
Oh.
Implement. You can enable and you can implement SCM and financials only because you subscribe those two offerings only. Okay, rest all you can see. Rest all you can see you are not supposed to use since you didn't take license.
Okay.
That's how it works. Okay, if you start using remaining, Oracle will perform the audit. Okay, the audit, if they identify, there will be big penalties as per subscription guidelines or policies. You can get access even if a client is not going to implement all these offerings. They might use 1 or 2 or 3 offerings, but still you can see other offerings also in the instance. Yeah. Any other questions?
Just one question on the right hand side where you have mentioned Oracle Fusion Distributed Order Orchestration. What is that? Yeah.
This you can define the process of your supply. Okay, how many steps you are going to follow to supply the material to your customers? Say first step is receiving order, second step is confirming the order, third step is moving the material from your warehouse to some other location, the fourth step is packing, the fifth step is loading into truck and shipping to the customer. This is how. The next step is generating the bill against the sales.
Yeah.
All you can define the complete supply chain process. You can define with a do distributor order orchestration. For this, the other name is workflow. Okay, it's nothing but workflow. How your work is going to flow. Fine.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's what we have to understand. Yeah, please. Any other questions?
And I have one question on this implementation project, Lakshman.
Please, please.
Can there be like a multiple implementation projects?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Here. Okay, if you want to understand that, I thought of explaining when we create implementation project. No issue.
Okay.
I will discuss. Or else I think it may take time to create. See, when you talk about implementation project, say you are going to do the implementation for 4 countries for one company. Okay. For one
Okay.
client, you are going to do the implementation for 4 countries. Your question is how many we have to create. So if you are going to do the implementation for 4 countries, you can create 4 separate implementation projects so that the country-wise you can do the setups and you can manage those setups country-wise. That is the best option. Or else you can create the single implementation project for multiple countries. You can do the setups from the same implementation project. If you do the setups for multiple countries from single implementation project, your task will become little complex in some setups. If you do the setups separately, country-wise, with the country-specific implementation projects creation, your task will become very easy. How exactly this we will see when we do the setups. Yeah.
Okay.
As a best practice, what we do, always will create country-specific implementation projects. System will allow to do the setups. So with a single implementation project also, but one more option we have, without creating implementation project also, you can do the setups. But if you do with implementation project, there are certain advantages and that we call as best practice. Okay, without implementation project also, you can do the setups. Okay, so, but as a best practice, we always go with implementation project. If you use the implementation project, there are certain benefits. In our classes, I'll cover both. How to do the setups from implementation project, how to do the setups from other approach. There is some third option also. If you do with the third option also, how it works, what you can do, what you cannot do. Among those three options, what is the best option? If you say that is implementation project only, we'll cover all those. I'll take you through all those options. Any other questions, please? Fine, no questions. Okay. Now we'll go and see how to enable offerings and options. Before we go and enable offerings and options, we'll check our user is able to access to FSM and security console or not. The last session we created user, and we are discussing now, because of this role, user should get access to FSM. This user got access to FSM or not, we'll go and check. Again, this user got access to security console or not because of this IT security manager. These 2 points we'll check. After that, we'll proceed with this process. So first we'll check our user got access to FSM or not. How to check? Okay, this is a user we created, right? The last session. Now, if you want to check this user got access to FSM or not, click on username. It will open one panel. Okay, just click on username. It will open on panel. Within the panel, whatever you see, this all you call as a tasks. Whatever you perform, that we call as a task in the Fusion. Now you have to click on the task called as setup and maintenance. You can see the name, setup and maintenance. You can do the setups and you can do the same setup maintenance. Where we can do the setups and maintenance in FSM, already we discussed. That means this task is related to FSM. If you assign application implementation consultant role to this user, you can find this setup and maintenance. Otherwise, you don't find here. Okay, if you don't assign application implementation consultant role to Zoom user, you don't find here this setup and maintenance. We are seeing here, that means we assign the role. Now click on setup and maintenance. It will take us to FSM page, functional setup manager page. So we discussed one thing. We do the setups with the help of implementation project so that we can take the advantage of this implementation project. What are the advantages? We'll discuss very soon. So we always do the setups from implementation project only. So apart from that, directly from this page also you can do the setups. Okay, directly from this page also you can do the setups. So here you can select, you want to do the setups for which applications. You want to do the setups for procurement. In procurement is one of the offering we discussed. Okay, so we discussed procurement is one of the offering. Within this procurement, we have a different applications. Okay, for which application you want to do the setups. So purchasing setups I want to do. You can select purchasing foundation. These all are the setups which you have to perform. These are the basic setups, all tasks. Okay, here by default it would be like this, required setups. Foundation from showing. Okay, let it be. The default they removed seems to. So these are the setups. In the same way, if you want to do the setups for sourcing application, you can select sourcing application. And you can select all tasks. So these are the all setups which you may do for sourcing. If you are going to implement supplier portal, these all applications are part of procurement. You can select like this and you can do the setups. From here you can do the setups. The same way, if you want to do the setups for order management, you can select order management. Okay, so ordering related setups and pricing related setups. Okay, so this is how you can find out the specific applications or offerings or options you can choose and you can do the setup. This page, this environment only we call as FSM page. From here you can do the setups, but generally we don't prefer to use this page to do the setups. Always we create implementation project so that simply you can do the setups. Once we create implementation project, once we start doing the setups through our implementation project, again we'll come back to this page and which is the best option to do the setups we will discuss. Okay, for now just remember. So this is FSM page. How to check whether the user got access to FSM or not? Click on the username, click on setup and maintenance. Okay, and From here, you can see all these offerings and options. If you select financials, in the financials, what applications you have, payables application you have, okay, fixed assets application you have, fine, and customer payments, receivables application you have. This is how you can find. From here also you can do the setups, okay. So we verified this user got access to FSM so that you can do the setups. Now we'll check this user got access to security console or not. Okay. So how to go to security console? Already we have seen in the last session. We have to click on the navigator, right? Click on the navigator, and here you can go to tools, expand tools. Under tools, you can find security console if IT security manager role is assigned to this user. If you don't assign IT security manager role to this Zoom user, you cannot find security console under tools section. Okay, this is what you have to understand. Just click on security console. What we discussed, ignore this message that is related to some other stuff. So what we discussed, if you go to IT security manager role, if you give access, you can access to security console and you can create the users. Okay, yes, from here you can create the users. Already we have seen how to create the user. You can just select users and you can create user from this user. Okay, this user we created from other user. Now from this user also we are able to create other users. Just click on add user account. Okay, I'm giving the name as Google INC and set password. Says save and close. Now I'm not assigning any roles. If I want to assign, I can click on add role and I can assign the roles. I'm not assigning anything. So for this user, you see for Zoom user, if you click on this username, you can see in the panel many tasks. And if you click on this Oracle logo, there is a logo. You can upload any logo here. So ideally we upload the client logos here. And if you click on this navigator icon, okay, it is showing many sections. If you want to see all those, you say show more. It will expand and it will show. See, we have access to many things. The same you can see here also. Say for example here, if you click on just says show less. Okay. Says show less. Yeah. Here, whatever you see here also you can see. For example, here you have sales, services, me and my team. The same you can see here. Okay, sales, under that this we have. Services, under that we have. Me means employee related. We have this. My team, relevant. So here also if you expand, you can find the same. Sales, services, me, my team. So whatever you see in the navigator, in this section also you can find. But here in the navigator, you can see many sections. But here limited by default, you can click on next. This is how, okay, you can select and you can see anything. Tools, here also we have, see tools. From the tools, okay, you can just click on expand, you can see other stuff also. Security console. From here also you can go to security console page. Okay. So whatever we are able to see from the Zoom user because of these two roles only. So going forward, we will see, just we'll open these roles, we will check exactly in which role what we have, how to create our own roles. This is all we have to understand. Creating our own roles, we call as custom roles. Yeah. So we have enough time to discuss all those, not required now. Okay. Now we created another user called as Google INC, right? Let's log into the instance with that user. You can see what that user can access. Okay, remember, we never assigned any role to that user. Okay, that is just user creation, blank, nothing we assigned. sign in. So click on the username. Nothing, these are the default. With this, nothing you can do. And click on the navigator. Nothing we have. So these are default. With this, you cannot do anything. If you go to tools, there is no security console, nothing. Nothing. These are just default pages access Oracle is providing. Apart from that, you cannot do any setups or you cannot perform any transactions. Okay. To this user, Google INC, okay, I can assign the application specific roles. If I assign inventory roles, this user can work on the inventory. If I assign order management roles, user can work on the order management application process. I can assign purchasing roles, the user can work on the purchasing. This is how Oracle is providing application specific roles. So which user is working for order management, you can assign only order management roles to that user. Okay. If you want to assign all those roles application specific, first we have to complete the setups. First we have to implement the application. If you want to use purchasing application, you have to complete the purchasing setups by using application implementation consultant role. Once setups are ready, then you can assign to work on the purchasing application, say to create requisitions or to create the purchase orders and to record various purchasing department related activity based transactions. You can assign the roles accordingly, user can get access and user will be able to create the transactions. Okay. First we have to complete the setups, then we can work on these applications with the help of that application specific roles. Okay, these two roles Oracle is providing, already we discussed. These two we are calling as seeded roles. The same way for all the applications Oracle is providing the seeded roles. We can create our own roles also. Yeah, we'll have one session to understand how to create, how to copy, how to edit. Okay, how to create roles from the scratch. Everything we'll discuss. Fine. So we verified. Okay, we verified this user is able to have access to FSM as well as security console, and we are able to create new users also from this user. And we created one user. To this user, nothing we assigned, that is the reason no access. This user cannot do anything. This user can connect to the instance. Apart from that, nothing can be done by this user. Okay. Yeah. Sign out. And before we proceed, okay, before we proceed with this sequence of activities, let's try to understand the release, the instance what we are using, that is belongs to which release. We'll talk about those points. Okay, so let's connect to the instance with our user. What happened to this? Not connecting. Okay, so that the user seems to somebody change the password in between. No issues. So if you want to check what release of instance we are using, you can log into the instance. After that, click on username. Click on username. In this panel, you can find about this application. Okay, you can find one task called as about this application. Click on this about this application. You can see which release of application you are using. So here you can see this. Ignore the 0. Doesn't make any sense, meaning. Take that information here. So 11 is the version. 11 is the version. Okay, 11 is the version, and 13 is the release. Okay, 11 is the version, 13 is the release, and this 22 is the year, and the 7 is the month. So Fusion applications version is 11. Okay, 11G, the 11th generation. 11, that's a version they are using, but we never call Fusion applications the version. right from beginning, that is 11 only. Within that 11 version, always they are updating the releases. Okay, Oracle started right from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From 7 onwards, applications are stabilized a little. Okay, there were considerable applications from 7 onwards, then 8, 9, by 9, 10, most of the applications are stabilized. Then 11, 12, and 13, they stopped. After 13, what are the changes they are doing? According to that, they are not increasing the release. Okay, after 13, see, prior to 13, we have 12, prior to that 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. That's how we have. Now, after 13, we should get 14. But instead of focusing on upgrading the releases, okay, they are upgrading the application and they are representing with the year and month. That means in this release 13 environment, in this instance, the latest changes when they did in a year 2022. 22 means year, total 2020. From year they are taking suffix. Okay. And which month? July month. The latest updates they applied on this instance, year 2022, month, July month. Okay, that's the meaning of this. And what is 22C? Okay, 22C. 22 is the year only again, and C is the quarter. So in a year, 4 quarters, A, B, C, D. Okay, so we entered into third quarter, Jan to March, okay, April to June, 2 quarters. Now we are in the third quarter. So in the July month, they applied the patches. They upgraded this instance that they are representing. That means it's a very latest environment. In some instances, if you see, they upgraded, they applied something on the Jan or Feb or March, you don't need to worry about it. There won't be any too much of changes, nothing. They're trying to fix some bugs, issues. They're trying to introduce few other applications. As of now, that is their focus. You don't need to worry about more related to your SCM applications or finance applications. Those applications are very much stabilized. Okay, this is how you can look at the instance and you can understand which release of instance you are using, and again how latest update is done on that instance. Okay, when the latest update means, those ideally we call as patches. Patches, when they apply the patch means piece of code. When they apply it, some issues can be fixed, some new functionalities can be added with the different applications. So that's how they are applying the patches. Okay, so that information you can see here. This is how you can check any instance is which release. You can click on username, click on about this application, and here you can see 22C. That this is the meaning of version. Okay, 11 is the version, and we have 11G for database also. 11G database we have for Fusion applications. The version name also 11G only, but here they represents as 11. 11 means Fusion applications. Okay, 13 means the release within the 11 version release. We never use the version in the Fusion. Always we call it as a release 10, 11, 12, 13. And again, this is the latest patch application information. So this is how you can identify any instance this belongs to which release. Fine. That means the instance what we are going to use, almost any instance we use, all are latest instances. Okay, latest instances. That's what we have to understand. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So one question on, I mean, we can go into the application detail about this application. Can you please go to? Yeah. So here it is 22.7 will always automatically change with the
automatically not. When this instance is updated, when that was happened, that would get updated. If you move to future months or quarters, automatically it won't apply. Oracle will perform the activity. That's how it would be updated here.
Yeah, I'm talking about that when Oracle takes some new action or update. So the
Yes. Okay, I got your point. Yes, the periodic updates Oracle will perform.
Yeah, but 11 and 13 will remain same.
Yes, this is the same. 11 always fixed. Okay, if Oracle is going to come up with the 13 to 14, automatically Oracle is not going to do that. Okay, if they are moving from 13 to 14, that means the considerable changes are there in that. That's what we have to understand. You have to request Oracle, then they'll upgrade. Again, here you are a SaaS customer or PaaS customer, it's very important point. If you are a SaaS customer, software as a service, automatic upgrades Oracle can perform for us on our request. If you are a PaaS customer, you are going to do the customizations. Since you are doing the customizations, the auto upgrade Oracle is not going to provide. You have to do these activities through manual process. You have to take care of all those, but Oracle will help you to apply the patches, etc. Yep. For SaaS customers, since no customizations, auto upgrade Oracle will support. For PaaS customers, no auto upgrade. That is completely manual upgrade process. Your team should include in that activity.
Yeah, perfectly all right. Only about 11. So it's again it's a version. I mean,
your voice is not at all clear. It's not at all clear. It's some network issue, I guess, from your end.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So
not
I'm
only today, I could notice in the last session also. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make
I'm not very sure. I thought like you only. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So at 11, when we were talking about R12 EBS, then also we have 11G version, and right now also we have 11.
That is a database version.
Yeah, so it's a database.
Here we are talking about application version. Now this is Fusion application. I'm not talking about database. Yeah. For application, they given 11. Database also 11G. Fusion applications, the version is 11th generation. That's what they are giving. Okay, within that release is 30. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So any questions, please?
Lakshman, which was the first version of Fusion?
The voice is very low. If you don't mind, can you?
Which was the first version?
Which are the?
Which was the first version in Fusion? Was it a
First version? Version is not. Version is same. 11 only.
Release.
Yeah. Release, they started from the 1. Up to 1 to around 7, there were no customers were using at that time. Okay. When they were standing at release 7, Oracle offered the Fusion applications for many companies with 50% subscription charge, because even Oracle has to learn how that application is working when clients are using. So that is the reason, with very much discounted price, they offered to many clients. So they identified many bugs, issues, they fixed 8, 9. From 9, 10 onwards, many customers started using. I can say by 10th version, 10th release, it was stabilized from 11, 12, 13 now. So 13 they released 4 years back. Okay. 13 they released 4 years back. Prior to that, every 6 months, 1 year once, they used to come up with the new releases. 18 they moved to 13. From 13 onwards, they are upgrading with the patch applications that you can see with the year and month specifications only. This year and month, you can understand how latest instance is this.
Okay.
Yeah. Fine. So it's almost 4 o'clock. So we're done for today. If you have any questions, you can stay back. We can discuss any sort of questions we can discuss. You can stay back. If no questions, we'll connect tomorrow same time. In tomorrow's session, we'll go through all this. We'll see how to enable offerings and options and how to deal with all these activities. We'll see the system in the tomorrow session. Okay. Thank you all. See you tomorrow.
Hi, Lakshman.
Thank you.
Yeah. Please.
Yes, Lakshman. can you help with with each session, with your teachings, like what could be the interview points, question from the interview point of
I'll tell you once we get into the course discussion, how you have to prepare for interview purpose, that I'll tell you. Okay, theoretically, practically.
completion of the course.
Sorry?
Like I was saying, for each session, like if you go through some points and then you just mention like it can be important or something
See,
like that.
what I'll do is, after going through a few setups and all, I'll tell you how you can take the questions from that concept. I'll explain you. Based on that, the same you can apply for everything. Still, if you want me to give you the questions, I'll give you. No issues.
Right now, no, I'm not asking for question. Just like with your teaching, just with this is the important. Just mark it like this.
Everything you should go through and you have to understand. It's not like something, if something is not important, I'm not going to cover. Okay. See, definitely when you are in interview or basic things, what you have to understand. So when you create user to work as an implementation consultant, what roles are required? One person can ask this question. If you answer application implementation consultant, IT security manager, they may move on to next question. Same question, same answer, another person can ask, what is the use of application implementation consultant? They can drill down. You may say with that, you can do the setups that will give the access to FSM. One person may say, okay, and they may move to other question. Another person can say, what is the use of FSM? Right?
Yes.
It is like whatever you are learning, the question may come from any side. It may be summarized or it could be detailed. You may answer like, can enable offerings and options, this and that. How many implementation projects we have to create? See, I can ask questions on same FSM or implementation project maybe for 30 minutes, or else I can make 10, 20, 30 questions also. It depends on how I want to test you. But go through everything. What we are discussing, you go through everything. Let any person sit in the seat to ask the questions you can face.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you that preparation approach, how you have to prepare and all that I'll cover. I'll take you through. So once you understand those points, easily you'll be able to plan and you can practice, or you can prepare and you can read and remember this content to answer as a questions, to answer to the questions. Yep.
Okay. Lakshman, one more question. Am I audible properly now?
Yes.
Perfect. So, I mean, it is just a request, not a question, that this Excel sheet is now, we are very connected and following. So, although it is available on the videos, but can you also separately share this?
I'll give this sheet. I am preparing this sheet for you only. Okay, for me, not required, right? I can go one by one. I know everything. For you only, for your preparation purpose only, I'm writing all these. Otherwise, I don't want to waste the time. One way you can understand if I write like this. The second point is definitely for you. I'll share this sheet also.
So when we are going to share, is it on daily basis with the new updates? Or
daily basis, yes. Daily basis, I'll share.
Perfect. Then makes sense. Yeah. Perfect. All right. Thank you.
We'll do that. Right. Any other questions, please? Any questions from anyone?
No, not from my side.
Okay, great. Fine. If no questions, we can wind up for today. We'll come tomorrow same time. Thank you all.
Sure. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.